but not going super deep with it. Just basic level. All right, welcome to episode 16 of the Film Planet podcast. I'm your host, Nadal.
Well,
And today we're going to be breaking down two trailers I think we both were pretty excited for. Infinity War, I didn't even honestly know that trailer was coming out until I got a text from you, or I got a little notification on Twitter. And then the Fantastic Beasts trailer, and then him and I are gonna probably get a little not heated, but we're gonna probably get into it about video game movies in general. Um, and what's the future for those, holding with what's coming out here in the next couple months and what already has come out. So let's go straight into. Let's start with Fantastic Beasts. I like the trailer, but it was how do I explain? It was hard to really get invested in it. I think I explained to you before is how do you get invested in a world where you know how everything already turns out? And I understand it is technically a prequel, but I mean, when I forget that, let's scratch that. I like the trailer. It looked cool, looked interesting. I would wish to see a little bit more action. I think you made a comment about that, just kind of hinting at it.
the action.
Well, not like action, but like more larger set pieces instead of a lot of.
It looked epic.
Not to me, really.
Hmm.
It looked meh. I guess that's the way I would describe it as.
I didn't think it looked mad. I was saying how the fans reacted to it.
Yeah.
But go ahead, finish what you were saying.
Well, no, I mean that's pretty much it's. I like the trailer, but it didn't do a whole lot for me. If that makes any sense. Like it was just. I would have, as the first glimpse into it, I would have not see a whole lot because I don't want to ruin anything, but seeing a little bit more of that world with Dumbledore and everything like that. I do like they go back to Hogwarts and everything like that. That was pretty cool to me. But it's just, and I understand it is literally the first trailer for it, so it's not supposed to show a whole lot. But I would have wanted to see a little bit more because I mean this movie is almost right. It's right around the corner essentially.
Well, November.
Yeah, I mean we could probably see two more trailers between now
November
and then.
9th.
Yeah. What was your thoughts on it?
I thought for a teaser trailer it was really good. When I was talking to Nadal about it last week, I was discussing more of the nostalgic Harry Potter fans, how they reacted to it. They're not too fond of it, but I'm not connected to the Harry Potter universe like that, where I'm super nostalgic about it or comparing it to the past.
Yeah.
So just on its merits from watching the first Fantastic Beasts, I thought it was cool. And it had, the more I watch it, the better it becomes because it has a lot of Easter eggs. Like, if you look at the poster and then you look at the trailer, you'll have Letta Lestrange. She had a past, like Newt had a big crush on her, but now she's with Newt's brother. And it kind of referenced that in the trailer. And if you look in the trailer close, Grindelwald gets locked up. The Ministry of Defense.
Yeah.
The Ministry of Defense basically arrests Grindelwald.
They seem to be transporting him somewhere.
But if you watch closely in the trailer, he's obviously breaking out. So
yeah.
I thought it was I thought the more I watched it had a lot of Easter eggs, and it's a big controversy called I always pronounce it wrong. Apparating. Yeah, apparating. They said, it's a rule you don't apparate in Hogwarts. First off, I don't think they were apparating in Hogwarts. They were apparating on the outskirts and
on the bridge. Yeah.
On the bridge. And even if you want to technically call that Hogwarts, that rule, I'm not even a Harry Potter fan, and I remember this from the movies. I think that rule was implemented when Dumbledore took over as
headmaster
of Hogwarts. I think that's when the rule was implemented. Right now, he's not the head.
He's a professor of dark magic right now.
Yeah, he's not the head. He's something. He is a term for that.
He's the professor for defense against the dark arts.
No, he's not. It's another term.
No, that's the office he's in. That's the same office from the previous film.
So I mean, we have to wait and see. Once again, this is another situation for me with the Star Wars as a diehard Star Wars fan. I think a lot of the Harry Potter fans are doing this. You have to let the story play out. I like what the trailer did. I thought it was a really good trailer. This is where me and the doll differ. Uh, I thought the trailer was kind of. I thought it kind of had some epic set pieces.
Yeah.
Like towards the end when Newt and Theseus was working together. I don't know who they were taking on, but
Yeah, that was a pretty cool
I
part.
thought that was pretty cool because they were doing it in unison, and you didn't see that in the Harry Potter movies from what I saw. You never saw two people with their wands almost in unison like a unit working together.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. And overall, I like the trailer. I think it did its job. I think a lot of Harry Potter fans and wannabe feminists are tripping about the whole Johnny Depp controversy, which I mean,
The movie was halfway done, or more than that.
I mean, what you want? It's not, and people are attacking J.K. Rowling. It's not her. She doesn't have authority over that. Like, she has authority over writing the movie and making the casting decision.
Johnny Depp's personal life is not her responsibility.
But once she makes a casting decision, that's up to the executives. So the executives don't want to change them, pull a Ridley Scott, or the director don't want to pull a Ridley Scott.
That's Johnny Depp, you know.
But I'm just saying, even if they want to swap him out over things that was proven that he didn't do, or they kind of disclosed it behind closed doors. But anyways, man, I'm looking forward to this movie. It was on my it was number 9 on my anticipated list.
Yes, it was.
So yeah, Fantastic Beasts: Crimes of Grindelwald.
Yeah. No, I'm excited for the movie. Like I said, the trailer just it kind of fell flat for me. And on the other hand, Infinity War, they basically just shoved everything they could into this last trailer. It looks extremely exciting. It looks like it's kind of from beginning to end, just doesn't really stop. It just kind of, you're gonna get a little bit of peace right at the beginning. It looks like, and then from there, it ramps up and it doesn't stop. Most likely leading into the second film. It has some really cool things in it. You get to see the first kind of interaction between Star Lord and Tony Stark, which I think personally you and I are pretty excited for.
No,
that.
not you and I. I did not say
I'm
that.
excited for it.
I did not say that.
I'm excited for it.
It looks cool, but that wasn't the one I said. I said Tony Stark and Drax. Actually.
And Drax, okay. But we do get a glimpse into the Star Lord. Drax is in that little scene, but he didn't really talk. And then we have you see the Iron Spider-Man suit. That's what it is, right? Just making sure. Okay. And that see that kind of in action. Other than that one little snippet we got in the first trailer. And then Tony Stark's suit does some weird things to help him go faster. Like his legs morph into like one giant little rocket.
It looks like a spacesuit almost.
Yeah. But no, it looks.
It looks
fun. Yeah.
It said look like a spacesuit. It is a spacesuit.
Yeah. It looks like a lot of fun. Action packed. It looks like they're the culmination of everything. They intend to go out with a bang.
Right.
It just looks really, really cool.
What I like about this trailer, that I think a lot of trailers don't do with the movie of this magnitude of recently. This is one of my biggest. I'm back to Star Wars. My biggest knock against Star Wars trailers. I'm talking about the trailers, not the movie itself. My biggest knock against the Last Jedi trailers last year. The trailers did not feel like an event. It didn't make it feel epic or grand in scale. Obviously, when you watch the movie, yeah,
different story, yeah.
But even Black Panther, like the trailers made it seem hip and made it seem cool, but you didn't get the scale. And I know people say, no, they did that intentionally. No, I don't think they did. I think they just did the trailer that way. This trailer feels epic. It feels grand. It feels like you're going into a major event without spoiling anything. And that's what a trailer should do. They showed you just enough to get you hook, line, and sinker. And that's it. And man, it looks fantastic. The CGI looks the best Marvel done. Thanos looks intimidating.
He looks scary.
The Black Order, the one that had Doctor Strange pinned up, his name is Ebony Maw. He looked pretty intimidating. So it looks like they're in for it. Yeah. And another thing I liked about the trailer is I like how Thanos, the Russo brothers said Thanos will be the main character of the movie. And he needs to be.
Yeah.
I mean, you built this
We built around him for so many years.
accumulation of this movie for years. So it's time to see what is he about, what's his motivations, his connection to the sisters, you know, all the family dynamic, all that. So I'm glad to see it, and it seems like they're going there. So yeah, it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I'm sure
there's a lot gonna be packed in there, and then we're still getting the second one.
And one more thing, and I will give the trailer one nit. Is a near perfect trailer. My only nitpick is very small. Boy, Wakanda looks so much better from the Black Panther movie, and even I know we don't know the movies, but from the trailers, Wakanda just looks so much more grand. This Wakanda looks like a wheat field. I'm sure once we see the movie, because it's shot in IMAX, I'm gonna be like, well, that's cold, but yeah, that's a nitpick.
Yeah, but and it was really just that one shot too.
Yeah. Other than that, the trailer looks.
Oh yeah. And then what was I gonna say? No, I think that's it. Really, it was that. And then.
So which trailer you like better?
That I like better? The Infinity War trailer. It was definitely that. And maybe that might have when you said that, it kind of clicked for me. It felt like an event. You know, it felt big and grand, and that for this, I'm strictly speaking for me. That's what Fantastic Beasts didn't feel like for me.
For me, it felt pretty grand.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know I'm in the minority on this, but the Fantastic Beasts trailer, it felt pretty grand to me. I felt like it was really like, like especially the part when Dumbledore was like, which me and Ann went pause, but me and Ann women going crazy over. But Jude Law is Dumbledore, but
swagger.
Yeah, but I just felt it was grand. Like I liked it. Just to see Newt and
that was his brother at the end of the trailer, right?
Just to see Newt with that beast underwater, like it had a lot.
Yeah.
Like, and hey, I'm proud of myself for this because I'm not a Harry Potter fan. So I caught something that I bet a lot of Harry Potter fans didn't catch. That beast, I think it was the Goblet of Fire.
Oh yeah, that's the same lake.
Yeah, that's the same lake, and that beast, I guess they were supposed to put it in the prom. What was it? The dance? I don't know the name of the event they were having, but it was supposed to be the head.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't.
But it was too big. I don't know. I'm geeking myself out over that. I caught something.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah, moving on.
And then I think this is one I think we've been talking about for years now. You and I. Is video game movies in general. I should let you guys know Tomb Raider review will be next week, right?
Well, yes, with Pacific Rim.
With Pacific Rim. So
Uprising.
And just kind of in honor of the Tomb Raider movie, it is a video game movie. We're going to discuss video game movies in general. You and I have been talking about it. It's hotly discussed topic with us at every IHOP trip that I can really think of. You know, it always sometimes rears its head. It'll go away for a little bit, come right back. Video game movies, like what's the natural progression? Because I know comic books and video games, they're not really the same. They don't always even share the same fans. But in the terms of this conversation, for Hollywood, at some point, comic book movies aren't going to be performing the way they want. What's that? And to me, I feel like the natural progression is video game movies.
And that's where me and him kind of disagree on that aspect.
But with that being said, that's just really just a segue into the conversation for video game movies. You've said for a long time that you felt Zelda would be a great video game adaptation movie that not only would be, critically acclaimed, but financially would also make its money back. Obviously you have to have both if you want this to be successful. I've always said to keep it more grounded and to go the more Uncharted route or even like a Call of Duty route. But like the Zelda thing, like just kind of, I personally don't feel like people would really get into Zelda.
And why not?
I think a lot of the times it's that scenario. Everyone thinks the main character you're playing is Zelda. In reality, it's not That's the princess. You're
But
playing
you
Link.
say everyone.
But that's what
Who is these everyones?
even the people who play the video game, if they're not hardcore Nintendo fans, they usually don't know that difference.
But that's what the movie's for, to show you the difference.
But that's what I'm saying. Like people, if they don't even know that, why would they be like it's such an important part. Like it's a beginner's guide to knowing, and they don't even know that going
And
into
that's
the
what
movie.
the movie opens up.
Yeah.
Who's to say that every fan, everybody who who's to say that everybody who goes see this movie has to be a fan of the Zelda franchise?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the casual fan might be confused by it and off put by that world.
The casual fan, if they never played Zelda, how would they be confused about something they know nothing about?
But that's what I'm saying. I feel like a Call of Duty or an Uncharted would be visually more appeasing. Like they see a trailer, I get that world more than I do the Zelda world.
Well, how could you not be grabbed by a Zelda movie, bro?
I'm speaking from a casual fan standpoint. Like, and that's
even
because,
from a casual fan, it's fantasy. It's in the same realm of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
It's in the same realm of Harry Potter. It's in the same realm of Star Wars. I don't know how people could be grabbed. Here's my knock against your choices. Not so much Call of Duty. Yeah, Call of Duty too. I'm swinging. I'm swinging for the fences. Not so much. Here's my problem with Call of Duty and Last of Us and God of War. Will those movies be successful video game movies? I'm about 88 to 90% sure they will. The problem is, I don't think those type of movies could usher in a era of video game movies like you're speaking, like our Iron Man in 2008 with comic book movies. I don't think, and the reason why is because they have an audience, but it's a distinct audience that won't spread out. I mean, you're not going to get young girls with Call of Duty.
No.
You're not going to get young girls with God of War. With Zelda, I think you can get so many, you can cast a wider net.
Okay.
I just think Zelda, you can cast a wider net. And to me, this era that he's talking about ushering in at the video game movies, Call of Duty's not going to do that. It's going to be a successful franchise on its own. I believe that a Zelda, you can do like a Harry Potter. You can grow up with Zelda and Link, who he's talking about. People don't know. You can grow up with these characters.
Well, they know him. They don't realize that's who they're playing.
I'm talking about younger people.
Yeah.
But they could grow up with these characters and create a lore. I mean, it's a cool lore behind Zelda, the Triforce. So I think Zelda would be the way to go if you're going to try to usher in one.
Well, I mean, Nintendo's made it a point with the Zelda franchise. They've released art books and storylines that have never been touched in the video game. They're just to add more to that universe. My thing is, it's just, it feels like such a far stretch for, like, I wouldn't want to see a Zelda movie fail. I would want it to succeed. Obviously, I want all these movies to succeed. And there's in no way, shape, or form do I want these to fail. I would love to see that happen. I felt personally that, like, maybe a more grounded approach would be the better way to ease people into the video game.
They've tried a grounded approach and it still hasn't worked.
And I mean, they even tried they tried a not grounded approach with Warcraft, and Warcraft had its own movie issues rather than a video game issue.
But in my opinion, I haven't seen Tomb Raider yet, the reboot. But in my opinion, Warcraft came closer than any of the other movies.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm saying, like, why not swing for the fences with the Zelda?
Okay.
It's setting. I mean, the franchise. Even if this is the difference between Zelda and a lot of these movies he picked. Even if Zelda fails as a movie franchise, which I doubt it if they nail it, the video game franchise is set in stone. It's already legendary. It's not gonna hurt anything. So.
Well, yeah, no, and I don't think that would ever hurt the video game franchise by any means. I'm talking about more from a movie like there's only so many times Hollywood's gonna try and make the movies, they fail, and eventually they're gonna be like, okay, well, this just isn't happening. As a fan, I know it's split. There's fans who want video game movies to happen, and there's fans who don't want it to happen. I used to be on that other end where I don't want it to happen. I do want it to happen on this one. I would like to see some of my favorite characters that I've grown accustomed to playing all the time up on the big screen and running around talking and exploring different storylines that I haven't seen before.
Right.
Um, and with Zelda, they have because every game always kind of reinvents itself. Different look, style, story, darker, lighter, however you want to look at it. So I think there's like I will use the what is it? I think it came out was like the first game on the Wii and it came out towards the end of the GameCube cycle. The Zelda game, I honestly can't remember.
Skyward Sword.
Was it Skyward Sword? Yeah, I felt like that world was a little bit more gritty, and I think that might be more that I feel like to me that would easier translate easier into a cinema rather than like the most recent Zelda, which had story, but it was more of an open world game that didn't. It was more of a you make your own storyline. You know what I mean? If that
Mm-hmm.
makes sense. Um, but then like I was gonna say Assassin's Creed, but I think that's proven itself to not be able to do it.
Well, I think that's because they.
You think that's more of the movie issue messed up? Oh, we're getting rated on Twitch right now.
Yeah.
Oh, hello guys. But no, Assassin's Creed was a movie that maybe the story wasn't messed up, but it was more the merits of the actual like the pillars of the movies that we talked about last week weren't really there. That makes sense. Um, and I feel like a God of War ground not God of War, Call of Duty or Uncharted or Last of Us would just be easier grab for people. And I'll use The Last of Us as an example because you said females might not be into an Uncharted or a type of movie like or the Uncharted or God of War, something like that. The Last of Us, one of the strongest characters in there was a female. And I think people really love she's going to be the main character in the next game. And I think that right there for a younger girl audience, you're 12 and up, will really grasp onto that, like a strong female lead.
But let me say this: is a strong female
Mm-hmm.
lead in a very masculine-driven game. Like I know, like it's almost like you'll have an audience, but it'll be more. A lot of women they like zombie movies and stuff because it's scary, but this is more of an action. It's a zombie movie with action with horror elements. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Last of Us. What I'm saying is with a movie like Zelda, you have the Princess Bride effect where you're not just grabbing kind of tomboy, so to speak,
Yeah.
or girls who like action movie. You can also get the little princesses because
Mm-hmm.
Zelda's a princess. You can get more of the girly girls, like the Disney princess
Like a
effect.
wider net, like
You
you
can
said.
have you can have that with Zelda. And going back to you said something about the Zelda franchise is
Mm-hmm.
kind of reinvents itself, so it's hard to grab. That's excellent for a movie franchise because each movie can be significantly different.
Yeah.
You can kind of mix elements in this movie. I'm gonna mix elements of Link of the Past. In this movie, I'm gonna mix elements of Majora's Mask. But in this movie, I'm gonna mix elements of Skyward Sword.
Okay.
So I just feel like movie to movie, you just like Harry Potter, every movie had a different feel and
It
aesthetic.
almost reinvented itself
But
slightly.
it's same world. I feel
Yeah.
like you could do that with Zelda as well. So
No, I'd be lying if I said you weren't kind of swaying me right now. But I feel like just for argument's sake, is I want that world to succeed, and maybe for the first going for a movie, for out in the cinema to usher in that new era, I don't feel like it would work necessarily. But that's purely my opinion. I just feel like a more grounded approach, not in the fantasy element, would be easier translated. But now that I'm even saying that out loud, does the video game element get lost in the grounded?
let me throw this at you. We had two Hitmans grounded.
Okay.
We had Tomb Raider, which I haven't seen the movie yet, but it's doing well overseas, but it's doing okay here. Um, do you think just swinging for the fences would actually be the move to go from here on out? Because it seems like these video game movies are continue to play it safe, play it safe, play it safe. Why not swing for the fences? Go for the gusto.
When you put
Why?
it when you
Why?
put it that way, I can't sit here and say that I disagree with that. At this point, the track record is saying why not do it? You know what I mean? Why not? You know what? If it fails, it fails. They've already failed before. Let's swing for the first fences and see what happens. Now, I will say this in terms of that, because Netflix is actually in the works working on a Witcher franchise and a Zelda franchise. Um, but I don't know if there's going to be movies or TV shows. I believe The Witcher is supposed to be like a Game of Thrones esque Witcher world
Mhm.
TV show. God only knows how they would cast that character. And then Zelda, I believe, was supposed to be a TV show, and they're working closely with Nintendo on that.
Okay.
Um, so maybe we get a TV show first out of it, and that kind of gauges where things are, and then maybe that blooms into a movie. And then we also have, I think, what someone in the chat here mentioned that they are making well, they're
In
writing scripts.
development.
It's in development for an Uncharted movie. Whether or not that actually comes to fruition has yet to, because it's literally at one point they had the cast and then it was gone, and then they had another script, and then now they're talking about doing a prequel for a franchise that most people aren't going to know about. And the great thing about Nathan Drake was it was kind of like the Joker. We were talking about a lot of his appeal is you don't really know much of his backstory,
Right.
and they're basically going to be looking at um how do I explain? I feel like they're purely piggybacking off the success of Spider-Man and they casted
Well,
him.
Tom Holland's not a guarantee yet. He was rumored.
Well, yeah, he even tweeted it out or something like that like he's campaigning himself to play a young Nathan Drake, which I I don't know how I feel about that going younger for Nathan Drake. I'm sure everyone here on Twitch, the community, they fully aware Nathan Drake is a man in his 30s, if not, and much older by the last game. It doesn't make any sense to me to just backtrack to his when he was a child, which they hinted at in Uncharted 3. I feel like if you're gonna do an Uncharted movie, just make an Indiana Jones and slap the video game
Here's
characters
my
in.
issue with that. I'm glad you brought up
Yeah,
Indiana Jones.
because they're making a new Indiana Jones as well.
With the Indiana Jones movie coming out, do you think that would kind of, to a casual audience, not to the gamer community, but to a casual audience, don't you think that would kind of bury the buzz of an Uncharted? I mean, it's Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones would bury the buzz on anything.
He's
Well, not anything, but a lot of things.
But especially Uncharted, though, we're talking
That would be
specifically Uncharted.
it would target that specifically.
I mean, because we're talking about what top 5 most iconic movie character ever: Indiana Jones, the hat, the whip. I mean, the swagger.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's kind of the same elements, but less iconic to an overall base. I'm not talking about to the gamer community than a Nathan Drake. I'm not saying the movie will. I'm not saying an Uncharted movie won't be good.
Yeah.
What me and Nadal is really discussing is what could usher in an era of video game movies on the same popularity and appeal as a comic book movie
to make them more successful, and because at the same time,
he says go with a more grounded approach, like a God of War, Last of Us. I'm saying go for the gusto,
swing for the fences,
with the Zelda, or maybe even a Final Fantasy, which I'm not a fan of.
Which they've done before.
Yeah.
Well, those were animated films.
Those were animated. I'm talking like a live action.
Yeah, and then someone in the chat says Nathan Fillion play Nathan Drake or Bruce Campbell.
It would be, yeah.
I think they'd bring the comedy element, but do they really embody that character? You see what I'm saying? Because
I think they do. The problem is those are more cult.
Yeah, I mean, I could almost see Bruce
heroes
Campbell
in acting, the acting world.
Exactly, but that might be the ticket to get people in the theater, though. And another thing is Bruce Campbell. I could almost see him as more of a Sully than Nathan Drake, playing that father figure. Especially if they do go to a younger Nathan Drake, like it seems to be going. Like I said, none of that's really in stone. It's in the works. There's no guarantee that's going to happen. There's no guarantee the movie will happen. And then let's see. I mean, really, what outside of Zelda and my picks?
Well, let's go. Let's say this. So you think when comic book movies die out, you're almost positive video game movies take
I feel like that's the natural transition.
I don't. And here's why. Video game movies are it's all about the user. Video games are so immersive with the one single person. You're playing this avatar, Ready Player One. you're playing this avatar, and it's almost like you're this character while you're playing this game. I don't see, if you do a constant movies of it, I don't see how you translate to the movies when most video games are built on your experience.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Books, yes, you're kind of diving. Yes, it's built on your experience,
You
but
build your own visuals in a
you
book.
build your own visuals, but
the story's the same.
The story's the same.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're telling your own story on certain video games, like like Grand Theft Auto. You know,
well, that might not be a Witcher might be a little bit better.
A Witcher,
example, or Final
Grand
Fantasy.
Theft Auto, yeah, you do build your own.
In a way, but more of a rampage. Like, do you go through a rampage through the city or something like that? Because it's very.
You do depending on. I'm talking about the later games, not the older. Even the later games, it depends. You can move up the ladder.
That's true.
Or you can just be a straight thug. You know, it's almost like The Godfather.
The last GTA would probably be the best example.
Do you want to move up to more of a consigliere figure, or do you just want to be a dude who whacks people? You know, so yeah.
No, I see what you're saying. Maybe there's so much freedom in video games. How do you translate that freedom into a movie, but appease as many people as possible? Because at the end of the day, people don't like it. They're going to badmouth it most likely, and then people aren't going to go see it based off that information.
Right.
And like I said, the two things for a video game movie to be critically acclaimed, and it has to make money. You can't have one or the other. It has to be both. If it's not both, you're not getting a sequel. Like Assassin's Creed. If that movie, because it made its money back.
Yeah,
it broke even, and it made a little bit of profit, not enough for Hollywood terms. But critically, it got ripped. It was not treated very nicely. And that right there might be the reason why we don't get a second one. And I think I told you, I think if we were to get a second Assassin's Creed, I think it would be a much better film overall.
Yeah.
The pacing would have been better. The ratio between them and the Animus and them, in the real world would have been better. Stuff like that. They would have corrected the mistakes, had given the chance. Now, obviously, the director really wanted to make this movie, so he might be campaigning to redo that. But that's yet to be seen. That's what I'm saying. I just don't want this to be a dud and then we don't get a second one. Like, I don't want it to be this could have been this. And that's every video game movie has been that. It could have been this. It could have been that. And that's the thing. I think I like to play it on the safe side because I'm cautious about it because I love video games and I want them to be successful. And if they don't make money and they're not critically acclaimed, I'm sitting here as a fan. I can campaign all day long. My voice is not going to be heard when it comes to that.
Right.
I think I told you whenever we came out of Assassin's Creed, or like a week after, I was like, I think the key to Assassin's Creed is they should have focused on making a better film first, and then putting those video game elements in later. Because on paper, if you describe to someone Assassin's Creed, there's really no reason why that movie shouldn't be cool you go back, you play your old memories from your ancestor to assassinate people. And you're this badass guy who can crawl on walls and all that good stuff. It just sounds cool on paper. The execution just wasn't there. No. And maybe that's what it is. But the video game movies, the execution just wasn't there.
Right.
Because I think every video game story, except for some really bad games that I can think of off the top of my head, they all have really cool stories. All the characters are really cool. But like you said, a lot of the times the reason the characters are cool is because it's user created. That character has been molded over 12, 14 hours by one person,
Right.
So you get attached to that specific version of that character.
And then you said more grounded. I'm shocked because it's your favorite game. I'm shocked you haven't said Metal Gear. I think Metal Gear, if you were to go grounded, I think you would do a Metal Gear. If you were to go grounded, I don't think a Metal Gear would even usher in. Would it be a success? But I think if you were to go grounded, I think you would start with a Metal Gear because
Metal Gear is basically an anime.
Yeah, it's basically an anime, but you could have don't put anime with cinema together.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. If you really, a lot of the weird quirky stuff that's in Metal Gear, it's anime.
But if you go to a movie studio and be like, yeah, Metal Gear's like an anime that we can make live action, that's a death wish.
They're kicking you out the office. That pitch is going to be over before it starts.
Unless you're a big name director, so.
Yeah, which I think the guy who wants the Metal Gear movie is another thing that doesn't even have a script, but there's people, directors and producers campaigning for it. Is the guy who directed the last Kong movie.
Yeah.
Is he's a huge Metal Gear fan and he wants to create that. And I think people have always hoped for a Metal Gear movie because Hideo Kojima is he's always wanted to make his video games feel like movies. He's very much a game director who's always seemed to be wanted to be a movie director. He's big friends with Guillermo del Toro, who's also in his next game. Well, I don't know if he's in the next. He was in the trailer for it. So they're good friends. So I mean, like I said, there's a lot of moving parts for video game movies to be successful, and there's hundreds and hundreds of franchises to pick from that can make or break that world. Um, I think they go with a more grounded approach, but I mean, you've today convinced me that screw it, swing for the fences, see what you can do with like a Zelda or more fantasy based video game movie like a Final Fantasy or something, and just see where that takes you. Anything else you want to add to
Jamal 1, Nadal 0.
it? He took the W, but we're gonna revisit it probably next week at some point,
Right.
or throughout the year in general. That, like I said, conversation that's left and come back over and over and over. I mean that's pretty much it. Did you want to talk to any of the fans on here? Well, not fans, but people who stopped by.
Thank you for stopping
Yeah,
by.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we do really appreciate it. We need more viewership.
Yeah.
We trying to better the content.
Yeah. And cut above. Thank you for the raid, for sending your people over here. Like it was fun. That's never happened before to us. So that was, we usually
yeah, that's pretty cool.
It was pretty cool to have you guys in here and talking with us. We definitely appreciate it. There should be a link to our YouTube, the Film Planet podcast, which this will be uploaded later today. Oh, we try to be entertaining. Thank you. But yeah, no, we, like I said, from the bottom of our hearts, I think Jamal. I speak for Jamal when I say this.
Gratitude.
Like we really do appreciate it. That made our day. I made my day.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. That was this week's episode. We'll be back this time again Sunday and around 1:00 Central Time.
Yes.
We're gonna be doing Tomb Raider review
and Pacific Rim Uprising.
Which
I'm looking forward to, even though it's gonna be probably bad.
We'll see. The first one we're excited for that. But yeah, no, if you haven't already, guys, hit that follow button on there. Sub on YouTube. There'll be links to Twitter as well, and we appreciate it. Bye.
Peace.